Hey everyone, it's Miss Joyce. Today we'll be interpreting the remainder. When we're interpreting the remainder, we can do this in three ways. We're going to look at a scenario at the bottom to help us discover these three ways to interpret the remainder. The scenario is Mr. Brown has 9 bags of Skittles. He can fit 4 bags of Skittles on each shelf. How many shelves does Mr. Brown need to fit all of his Skittles? So let's start by writing the equation. There are 9 bags of Skittles, and we can fit 4 on each shelf. So we will divide 9 divided by 4, which would get us an answer of 2 remainder 1. Well, let's interpret this remainder. We can do that by creating a visual. So let's have a shelf here. We need to place 9 bags in total, but there can only be 4 on each shelf. So let's put 4 bags of Skittles on this first shelf. So this shelf is now full. We need another shelf. Let's keep adding Skittles until we get to 9. So we have 4 up here. Now we have 5, 6, 7, 8. Uh-oh, we're out of room on this shelf. Let's make another shelf. Now we can fit that last bag of Skittles on this last shelf. So we have a total of 9 bags of Skittles placed on placed on the shelves. Let's answer the question. How many shelves does Mr. Brown need to fit all of his Skittles? Well, if we look at the picture, we see he needs 1, 2, 3 shelves. So we are going to say that he needs 3 shelves to fit all of his Skittles. That means that the first way to interpret the remainder is to add 1 to the quotient. If you look at the problem, our quotient is 2 remainder 1. So we can just add 1 more to this quotient to get 3. So he needs a total of 3 shelves. We're not adding 1 because the remainder is 1. We're just adding 1 to the quotient. So if the remainder was 2, we would still only add 1 more to the quotient because we need just 1 more shelf. Let's look at the second way to interpret the remainder. Same scenario, but we're asking a different question. So he has 9 bags of Skittles and can fit 4 bags of Skittles on each shelf. This question says, how many shelves are completely full? If we look at the visual, we can see that there's 1, 2 shelves completely full. This last shelf, we can still put more Skittles on it. So 2 shelves are completely full. If we look at our quotient, 2 is our quotient, not including the remainder. So the second way to interpret the remainder is to drop the remainder, to just use this quotient part, the 2. So Mr. Brown has 2 shelves that are completely full. Let's find the third way to interpret remainders. Same scenario, Mr. Brown has 9 bags of Skittles. He can fit 4 bags of Skittles on each shelf, but this time the question says, how many bags of Skittles are on the shelves that are partially filled? Well, if we look at this last shelf, there's still room on here, which means it's partially filled. We can see on this last shelf, there is 1 bag of Skittles. So he's able to fit 1 bag of Skittles on that partially filled shelf. If we look at our answer, we can see 1 is our remainder. So that means the third way to interpret the remainder is to use only the remainder. So if we look here, the remainder is 1. There is 1 bag of Skittles on that partially filled shelf. So our answer would be 1 bag is on that partially filled shelf. Let's use interpreting the remainder to answer other problems. In this problem, 14 friends are going to the movies. They can only fit 4 people in each car. How many cars do they need so that all friends can go to the movies? Well, let's start by writing an equation. We have a total of 14 friends that are going to be shared between cars, and there can be 4 people in each car. So that means we're going to be dividing 14 divided by 4. Let's use a visual to help us represent this. Here's a car. We know we can fit 4 people in a car. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we don't have 4 friends going to the movies. We have 14 friends going. This car is completely filled. We need another car. Now we can have 5, 6, 7, 8 people going to the movies. Oh, but we need still another car since this car is filled. So we'll add another car to transport more people. Now we have 9, 10, 11, 12 friends. We're close, but we still need another car so that everyone can go. Now we can take 13, 14 friends. So if we look at the problem, we can see that we have 3 cars that are filled and there are 2 people in that leftover car, so our quotient is 3 remainder 2. Let's look at the question though. It says, how many cars do they need so that all friends can go to the movies? So we're going to interpret the remainder by adding 1 to the quotient. So here, if we look, we can see that we need a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in order for everyone to go. So we'll need 4 cars. If we didn't have a visual, what we could do is look here and say, okay, we have 3 cars, 2 people in the car that's not completely filled, so we need a total of 4 cars by adding 1 to the quotient. Let's try another problem, but with the same scenario. Here, it says, same problem, 14 friends are going to the movies. They can only fit 4 people in each car. How many cars are completely filled? So the equation is the same, 14 divided by 4 equals 3 remainder 2. Which way are we going to interpret this remainder? Well, it says how many cars are completely full? We can see that there's 1, 2, 3 cars completely filled, and 2 people in this leftover car. So we are going to drop the remainder. We're just going to look at the quotient, which is 3. So if we look at the visual, we have 3 cars that are completely filled. So the answer to this specific question would be 3 cars are completely full. Now let's try one more question to the same scenario. 14 friends going to the movies and they can fit 4 people in each car. How many friends are going to be in that partially filled car? Well, we can start with the equation. 14 divided by 4 equals 3 remainder 2. We're getting the same answer to the division sentence for each question. We want to figure out which way we're going to interpret the remainder. Well, the question says, how many friends will be in that partially filled car? If we look at this visual, we can see that there are 2 friends in this car that's not completely filled. So we are just going to be using only the remainder, since the remainder is 2. So to answer the specific question being asked, how many friends will be in the partially filled car? 2 friends will be in that partially filled car.